It's not bad, this non-playing stuff, is it? Just knocking around Twickenham, schmoozing, soaking it all up. But no, Sarah Bern, what was it like to be on the other side? Of course, we all know you desperately love to be out at Twickenham in the sunshine, running around, chucking in 14 tries. But what was it like on the other side? It was actually quite nice to see just how much people love watching the Red Roses and how much they care.
Yeah, it was really nice actually, and it was really nice to be a fan and like celebrate England and be like, this is going to be great, and then be out there in the stadium. And it was so weird because it was like the first time I'd not played for a long time for England, and as I was walking to my seat to watch the game with Rocky, all these people were just watching the game and then they were like, oh, that's Sarah Bern. And I was like, oh, it felt so weird. It was like, and then I sat down and then there was like rows and rows asking for pictures with me and Rocky. So it's amazing because it just shows how far the women's game's gone. Like, people recognize the athletes within it. But for me, it was bizarre. I was like, oh, I'm just me. But it was really nice, and the fans are always so lovely. So it was great to be a part of that and dance with some of them when Sophie Ellis-Bextor was on. That was really cool. And then also after like speaking to them and pre the match, it was nice speaking to different people and just how much they loved the sport, and they just wanted to watch a really good game of rugby.
And they're not bad, these Red Roses, are they? Quite entertaining to watch at times.
Yeah, they were pretty good on the weekend. Yeah, I think they were brilliant.
Well, look, we're going to get back into all of last weekend's action, that the victories for England and Scotland and France in the Women's Six Nations here in the UK. We'll have a quick look at the Black Ferns contracted squad as well. We've got all the international news with your Rory, and then we'll do a full preview of the final round, Super Saturday, in the Women's Six Nations as Ireland take on Scotland, Wales up against Italy at the Principality, and of course it's France against England in Bordeaux. It's the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 185. I'm Johnny Hammond, and that's Sarah Bern. $88-10 then, Berner. 14 tries, 7 by the back three. Your overall impression first.
I remember I got asked before the game, what's your predictions? And I said all three of the back three will score, and if not, multiple tries. And they actually absolutely smashed it. And I think for me, England, this was the first time England looked like they were firing on all cylinders. Like, they looked like they were really clicking and the pieces of the game were coming together. And I actually think if you really break it down, I think our finishers did really well and Meg Jones did really well. But I actually think if you look at the game, how did the ball get there? You look at Tatiana Hurd, they have to defend her. People have to defend her. So when she takes it to the line, she gets that timing of the pass just right. And it just opens up these massive gaps for the likes of Zoe Allcroft to get a line break, Meg Jones to get through, all of our back three to get on the ball. It's just brilliant to see her really owning that role and playing so well in it. And then when Skaz came on, exactly the same thing. Emily Scarrett, brilliant when she came on for the time she was on. Little grubbers through. Again, it was all through that 12. So I actually think I've been really impressed with England's 12s at the weekend. And breaking it down with a rugby brain, I probably would have given them a lot of kudos after that game. But Ellie Kildunn, she beat like crazy amount of defenders. Scored some absolutely worldy tries. So fair play to Ellie for getting it again.
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point, isn't it? That Ellie may be getting the plaudits, and it's a hat trick for her. It's a hat trick for Abby Dow. McDonough with a couple. Hunt Allcroft breached the 2. Sards.
Yeah.
Played well again, didn't she? And Maddie Fairnarty. Holly Aitchison with much better day with the 9 conversions for her. It's coming from all over, and I think you correct me. That's the idea, isn't it? That the fact that the defence has no idea where it's going to come from, what option that person with the ball is going to take, whether it's pulling out the back, did a short pass, going themselves, stepping themselves, and every single person, 1 to 23, you may even say 1 to 36, is very, very capable of handling the ball. And for me, it was the first time that I was properly engaged, going, right, okay, now we can properly see this. But it's 1-15. I mean, I think it was the second breach try. Was first phase down off the line out. And it was just absolutely outstanding. And there was a turnover line out as well. I think that was one of Abidal's tries. And it was instinctive to play and to pull back, and these back three players are walking tries in. Some of them, certainly some of them are really good finishes, but some of them are just walk-ins because the amount of work the 14 players inside them have done.
Yeah, exactly. And the amount of line breaks, I think Zoe Allcroft had a phenomenal game. Like the line break she made, it was absolutely brilliant. And you look at England, and they have the most. I think they have the most line out steals out of everyone, and they have this ability to flick that switch and find the space. And that is what this whole game plan is about. It's about finding the space, and then it's figuring out what's the quickest and the best way to get it there. And at the weekend we saw it was through the hands. It wasn't as much as the kicking option, because Ireland have a good again, they have good kicking threats. So although we did kick, I would actually say our ball handling was probably our strongest attack at the weekend. And it will probably be similar against France. So it's very good that we had that opportunity, because France, again, they put two in the backfield. They are very competent at kicking. They have very good kickers. So actually it's going to be a bit of, are we going to kick? Are we not? And that's where the teams get caught on edge. Is it going to be a deep kick? If we defend deep, they're going to chip it and it's going to be a short kick. But then if we put too many in the backfield, there's going to be space for players to run through. So yeah, it's I really enjoyed watching it, and I'm really excited to play that style. I played a little bit on WXV, but looking forward to pre-season to getting stuck into it again, because it is such a kind of entertaining way of playing. It's different to how England have played before.
Yeah, and it was the second Abidal try that for me was the best of the campaign, because it showed actually that change of mindset, that change of physicality, and what you're doing in attack is beginning to really seep through. And of course, it was going to take some time. And the wise old sage Sunta said a couple of weeks back on the pod, didn't she? It'll come. It'll come. I was about to do her accent then, but I thought no, we'll leave it. But that was an impressive display. You note Zoe Allcroft. You've mentioned Tatiana Hurd there. Anyone else that is deserving of a bouquet or two? And I'll tell you who needs a get well card is Rosie Gallagher, broken thumb just before the game. That would have been absolutely gutting to have not played at Twickenham, but because she was in great form as well. Mona Talon came in to the second row for her, and then Lizzie Hannon came on the bench and got a bit of game time as well. But who else stood out for you?
I think Meg Jones played very well. She has been all tournament, but I think she really stepped up when England got a yellow card and they lost the 9. Poor Lucy Packer. I've never seen a 9 carded for collapsing a mouse. Bless her. I don't think it was intentional at all. I think she wanted to try and get out, if I'm honest. But I think she really did well in that 10 role when she stepped up at 10. Extremely attacking, played some really good options. So I think Meg did really well at the weekend. But to be honest, I think all of them are playing well. You look at the front row. All the front row are playing very well at the minute. You look at the replacement front row. Well, they're coming on. They're making big carries as well. Again, Moana Talling not been involved due to injury and also competition in that shirt. Played the full 80 minutes in the end, didn't she? And she absolutely had a great game as well. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to pick, because I think everyone is just doing their role really well, and that's all they need to do. And then you got these brilliant finishers that just no one can seem to stop at the minute.
Yeah, I was invited on another podcast this week to chat about this, and I was just saying to the guys at the right that it's a perfect little storm that, for whatever reason, and I think pressure is very stifling. By the time we got to the last World Cup final, the press is massively on. England are heavy favourites, funding, all the rest of it, and just by the very nature, you don't try things because you're under that kind of pressure. But a perfect little storm of a natural progression to England's game, all the great foundations of the set piece and defence, and the players wanting to express yourselves a little bit more. You just said there, and you can't wait to get back to pre-season. I mean, it's not. I'm sure I've heard many rugby players say that, let alone front row rugby players say that. But you're genuine, aren't you? You're excited to get back into that camp, and it's feeding it, isn't it? And Sadiq Kabir's playing really, really well. Well, that's pressure on Marley Packer. Tatiana Hurd and Meg Jones are playing really well in the centre. That's pressure on Emily Scarrett. There's pressure all over the park, and people really, really stepping up and enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at the hooker situation, Lark, brilliant player, Amy Kane, brilliant player, Connie Powell, brilliant player. All of them, due to whatever reason, there's been a real shuffle, whether that be cards, injuries, and each of them, every time one of them gets put into play, they play brilliantly. And then, when something happens, the next person's in, again, they play amazingly. So England have a real luxury with the strength and depth that they have within their squad. Like every single player is a great player. You see even the loss of Helena Rowland, who is a great player. Well, what happens then? Emily Scarrett came back from injury. Well, do you know what I mean? So they have a luxury of this pool of fantastic athletes that they can pick from.
And you've got Claudia McDonald on the side doing some TV work. And I know Katie Buchanan was being looked at heavily for this Six Nations young Exeter winger. Rosie Gallagher now injured, as you say. Helena Rowland out injured. We've got a few cards in there. So I haven't seen Sarah Beckett. She's back, and Amy Cockayne will be back and up for selection in Bordeaux. Perhaps we'll get into that in the second half of the pod when we preview those final round games. And England did all this, Berner. I didn't play badly, did they?
No, they didn't at all. England, they have the most line-out still. So what were they going to do? They're going to attack the line-out. I assume it's what they've done all tournament. So they will go and steal the ball. What I think England did really well is that they reduced their handling errors by quite a lot. I think it was about by 10 errors. Which means that they have the ball more. If they have the ball more, they can do more with it. They beat 60 defenders. And most of them, I think, is by Ellie Kildun. But that they didn't play badly at all. Just England have so many threats across the park. You spend all your energy tackling the likes of Marley Packer, Hannah Bottom and Maud Muir. Well, there's going to be holes somewhere else for your Zoe Allcrofts, your Abby Dowes, your Jess Breach. Someone's going to get through. And I just think Ireland, they've come so far. They've done so well in this tournament. But again, like I've said in previous weeks, England are a different beast. And it won't be until they play France at the weekend, Canada, New Zealand, again in WXV, that we'll really see how they perform, how they are performing, and if it can beat those top four teams as well.
Yeah, because it's one thing, the motivation on a sunny day at Twickenham, we got 49,000 basically. What was it? 48,887 or something. So yeah, 49,000. That's a thrill in itself, isn't it? Playing, it's got the walk in, some great shots on social media, but that's a very, very different beast to going over to France and what have you. As you say, we'll look ahead to that and chat more about that kind of pressure and how England play and all the rest of it in the second half. The occasion was something great, and we are seeing record crowds, aren't we? Wales will play at the Principality this weekend. That's going to be interesting to see where their kind of numbers are at. But it's just becoming more and more of the norm. What else did you get up to in and around the game then, Sarah Bern?
So something that's really exciting is that on the Friday before the game, we with Twickenham and Wooden Spoon, we've opened a sensory room at Twickenham Stadium. So you can go, and for my nephew's autistic ADHD and my his younger brother is also now getting referred for his autism assessment. So my sister used to come to my games, and she was the biggest supporter and be there all the time. And when she had Finley, he just couldn't. It was the sensory overload was massive. He got so overwhelmed. But he loves watching us play, and he will stand in front of the TV like this, like with his face on the side, and he'll like name everyone. He'll look for number 3, and he'll be like, "Where's Sarah?" or like he'll look at, because that's what he's young. He knows that I play number 3, and then he'll look at. He loves Emily Scarrett, so he looks at number 13, and he's like, "Where's Emily Scarrett?" But I think so. Yeah, so. It was great to have now. There's a space that they can go to as a family, and other people can go to see events at Twickenham, and he can feel safe. He can go there to like not be in the large crowds and have their space. And my sister and my family can come and support and cheer them on. And also I know where they are, so if after a game I'm trying to find my family or I can go and find them. But I just think it's a great step. I think it's one of the first rugby stadiums to have an actual sensory room in it. So hopefully it carries some momentum, especially with the World Cup being in England. Hopefully it's something we can get sorted in all the other stadiums as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk and we preach, don't we? Rugby's very good at doing that. But yeah, sometimes you've got to look inside and saying we're all inclusive. Well, then we've got to be all inclusive, and things like that are all part of it. And yeah, fair play, fantastic work. Let's look back at the other games then at the weekend. Italy, Scotland. We said it was a big old game. The history of the WXV and Scotland pipping them to the post with the points difference. It was 2 points. Got that right last week. And also, Scotland. Brian Easton, we spoke to pre-Six Nations. We spoke to the doc, Rachel Malcolm. Qualified for the World Cup. That was the aim of this Six Nations. They put it right in their hands now by going over and winning in Italy the first time this century. It was a performance they really dug out, wasn't
it? Yeah. It's always going to be hard. I think Italy, they are a good team. They are a physical team. But I also think Scotland this year have just, their structure. Well, I've been singing their praises for the last few weeks. I think they're playing really well at the minute. So it was always going to be quite a tight game, I think. And with how Italy play, it can really disrupt your continuity in your team because they play very much off the cuff, or they're really there to kind of get the ball back. So they'll be messing around in the breakdowns and stuff like that, which will probably it stopped England in that first half. So it definitely will stop other teams. And I think that's a real strength of Italy's. But yeah, I think fair play to Scotland, the first time that they've won that out there in a long time. And again, it's great
in the
to see
Six Nations. First ever time in the Six Nations.
Yeah, that is incredible. And it's great to see them bounce back. And yeah, I'm really excited for the game at the weekend with Ireland and Scotland, because it's that WXV third place playoff, isn't it? So yeah, I'm excited to see them play.
Yeah, to go from 46-0 at home in the last round to bounce back, and we said just how important that mental strength was, and it's almost for me, and I may be hyping this up, but almost a litmus test, because we've seen the false dawn, and in the men's game they often talk about Scotland. They win a game at the beginning of the Six Nations, and then they're world champions, are going to win the Six Nations, and so many false dawns, and we just wondered whether this winning momentum had just stalled and whether they might crumble and sort of revert back. But going out to Italy, and people say, well, it's not beating England at Twickenham, is it? No, but these are all things that Scotland haven't done for a long time.
It's really hard to play away in other stadiums. You don't have that support of the crowd, and just I think what they did is they're just being more clinical. They're making smarter decisions. You look at some of the statistics. There are 21 handling errors, 22 turnovers from Italy, and Scotland only had 14 handling errors, which is really low, really, really low. and 11 turnovers. So they're keeping hold of the ball for a longer period of time. And if you do that and you're getting momentum and you're getting foothold in the game, you're going to win the game. So I think it's great growth from Scotland. And it is really tough to play away, like you were saying just then.
Skeldon with a try, Emma Orr, Chloe Rowley. It was a double punch, wasn't it? Sort of a couple of tries within a period of 5 minutes. Subsequently, Chloe Rowley has received a 3-match ban for her red card. Dinka, she's impressive on the losing side for Italy. Rigoni got that penalty, didn't she, to make it a 7-point game and a reasonably tense finish. But yeah, for me, really impressive from Scotland mentally. And you can see the youngsters like the Emma Orrs, and we've been bleating on about her on this podcast for good 24 months. But she's a good example of this Scotland side really, really growing in confidence. And you talk about those lack of handling errors. Where's that come from, Berner? Is that just extra reps in the week? Is it a mental thing? Is it a combination of all of the above?
It's probably a combination of all of the above. If you look at Scotland, they had a 9-game winning streak before they played England. There's confidence. There's confidence to, go out and attack. And we've said before in the game, it's great to see the freedom that players look like they have to play and try new things. So all of that together, if you have that confidence and that belief in your team and the way you're playing and your coaching staff and that kind of positive environment, well, yeah, you're going to feel a little bit more on it. If you feel pressured, you feel nervous, that's generally when you're probably either thinking too much in fast forward or thinking too much in rewind, what's going to happen, and you're not quite in that moment and in that sweet spot. I think it's a mixture of everything, and definitely that they spend more time together, and 100% that they are playing more rugby, whether that be in the Premiership or in the Celtic Challenge. I think they're two massive ones that have really helped Scotland and the time they spend together. But also with Italy, we talk about set piece, and I'm obviously a tight head, so I talk about set piece a lot. But Scotland's set piece has been growing really well, and their scrum has been dominant. It was definitely dominant or more positive against Italy. And Italy, a line out is key, and we talk about England being able to flick that switch over a line out still and score a try. That is important with Italy. If you do not win your line out, it's really hard to play a starter move, and therefore it's really hard to get momentum into the team. And Italy lost a fair few line outs, and Scotland got 2 line outs still. So that's going to impact the ability to attack as well. And I think moving forward, like we said previously, if Scotland can really nail down their line out, and it's got better throughout the tournament, and their scrum is already positive, they're going to have a front foot ball to play with. They're going to have a platform to play off, which is secure, and it create that confidence throughout the team, that attacking confidence that we're seeing from them now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't lose 5 lineouts in international rugby and win. It's kind of almost that simple, isn't it? Scotland lost a couple, as you say. That set piece has really tightened up, even without the likes of Sarah Bern, who, yes, I think I saw a photograph of a big smile, as per normal with Bonner, and a big thumbs up lying from a hospital bed. So, yeah, like Rosie Gallagher, we wished her all the very, very best with her recovery. It's just happened this way, not that it's designed at all, but we talk about playing with confidence and with an expression and with freedom. Wales look at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, 40-0 against France, who didn't really seem to get out of second gear.
I really feel for Wales, from going from third last year to playing in tier 1 of the WXV to now potentially being in a position for wood and spoon, and then having to play a playoff game to play against to get into the World Cup. I think that's really, really telling of kind of there's something not quite right within that camp or within the structure or whatever it is. you're right. They just don't look like we're seeing the Irish teams. We're seeing the Scotland teams, like that confidence, that kind of wanting to play. I think that they're trying it, and I think we can see when you're playing, like they have some frustrations around why is it not working. I don't know. I really feel for Wales because they have some brilliant players. All their players are really good standout players in the Premiership. You look, I always love Alicia Butcher's one of our best players at Bristol Bears. She's been in Team of the Week for the last 3 weeks leading into the Six Nations. And, you want to see players like that just, and like Alex Callender, Georgia Evans, even Flaky, it's so hard. You're wondering why is it not quite clicking for them. But yeah, I really feel for them. But again, France are also an extremely difficult team. Even if they're in second gear, it feels like they're in ninth gear because they are a physically dominant side. They are definitely not afraid to throw offloads in to play an exciting style of rugby. And it is hard work. It is really hard work, especially if you're not quite keeping the ball or attacking how you would want to attack to get you on that front foot.
I mean, stats can lie and all the rest of it, and most politicians will tell you that, or you can certainly massage them to get you where you want to. And I don't often bring them up unless it's really relevant. They've lost here 40 points to nil, and we talk about this acceleration that France across the board, across the rugby union national teams have on the turnover. 62% possession for Wales, the same territory. 21 attacking minutes to France's 12. 144 carries to 73. And yet meters gained. Wales 384, France 486. Line breaks 4-9. Wales are beating defenders, but just you can see how France played it, and it was almost, we've done so much good stuff, then a tiny mistake, France get the ball, Romain Ménager's running away, Falau's running away, Bourdon Sansous's doing something sensational, Grise's doing something out wide, having just come back into the team, and they hit Wales, and it must have been one of the most where Wales were mentally coming into that game, and then to get a couple of those turnover tries, it must have just been completely deflating, and you can see how that scoreline ticks up when France are in that kind of mood.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to come back to the handling errors and the turnovers. Like Wales had 28 handling errors, although that's not the highest we've seen in the tournament.
No.
You don't want to give that to France. They have players that can literally, you look at Bourdon Sansus, she gets her hands on the ball, there's a good chance someone's not switched on, she's scoring a try. They have a team of players like that. Ménager, same kind of player. And that is France. That is how they play. They are extremely athletic. They're extremely off the cuff. They do have structure, but they can be really off the cuff very quickly. And you just don't want to give them the ball back. So yeah, handling errors, turnover is conceded as well, 19. Now France is not brilliant, but what they can do, they have finishers. They have some strong attacking shapes. They're very good at getting the ball to the edge. And once they get their wingers on the edge, it's hard to stop them a lot of the time because they are, again, this athletic side. So, it's hard. I really feel for Wales because they look like they're trying and they're getting frustrated. Don't know why it's not working, but I think it's probably something to do with mood in camp, something like that. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it feels like we're not getting that positive energy that we're seeing from the likes of like Scotland and Ireland. And yeah, I hope that this is a tournament where they can reflect and they'll come back stronger for next time, because that's what we want. Is Scotland and Ireland, they had tricky years, they had really some rough patches, and they've come back new sides this year, and that's what we want to see every year. Is actually, it's okay to have not your strongest of tournaments, but actually let's get some women's rugby investment, let's keep getting people moving, and seeing how far can we push each other to get better and create this really competitive tournament.
Yeah, and I think there clearly isn't something. There's something off, isn't it? In Wales, it is a quality side. When you look through that, we were so excited, and they're going to pick in the back row. I know, yeah, they certainly got some injuries and what have you. Quite a lot of chopping and changing. Get it at 9. For me, you want to settle the half-back partnership. But no, it was good to see France and that pack, whoever they choose, will be a real handful for England. Tiani Felu at number 8, younger sister of Captain Menek. I thought she was impressive for her first sort of caps and what have you, and that front row is very impressive indeed. Huge game for both at the weekend. We will look at that in the second half. But you met Rory.
Yes, I did meet Rory.
You met our lovely Rory Tellison, the newsreader of Ferry and Moira Stewart.
My best friend Emma Swords, her partner's part of the local rugby club, so we went down to have a look.
You can name the rugby club. Don't be shy.
I didn't know if I should have.
What?
I didn't know. Security.
No, security. What, you don't think a local rugby club doesn't want to be named on the original Women's Rugby podcast? Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially as it's my rugby club. Come on, Bernie, we're giving a big build-up now.
Okay, it's Weybridge, isn't it? Weybridge Rugby Club, Vandals.
Weybridge Vandals.
I knew it was a
weird name
with a V.
Fabulous spot there on the middle of the river there on the island.
Yeah, it was really cute.
It's cool, isn't it?
Really lovely. It reminded me of like playing back in minis when I was not minis, but like under 18s, under 15s when I was younger. It was really, really nice and quite like wholesome. Seems like a lovely club.
It is. Absolutely love the place. Been involved since I was 4 years of age. Sarah Bern.
Wow.
Yeah, the women's side, the Valkyries, is there, and yeah, that'd be great if Emma got herself involved. But so give her a call and see what we can do. But that was brilliant. Anyway, you met Rory. She's lovely, and here she is with all the rest of the news.
I'm Clea Maloney, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
What an amazing occasion it was at Twickenham. And last Friday, I also got to meet Berner for the first time at Weybridge Vandals. I'm Rory Tellison, and here's your news. Let's start by confirming those round 4 Six Nations results. England 88, Ireland 10. Italy 10, Scotland 17. And Wales 0, France 40. In South Africa, the Women's Premier Division, their top flight domestic competition, is back up and running. In the opening round, there were wins for Bowling Dames, Western Province, Golden Lions, and the reigning champions Bulls Daisies. At the weekend, the Daisies and Bowling made it 2 from 2, while the Sharks and Bowling got their seasons up and running. Round 3 shapes up like this. All on Saturday, Border Ladies host the Sharks, EP Queens travel to the Bulls, Golden Lions up against Bowland, and Western Province and Free State Women go head-to-head. Semi-final time in the Super Rugby W in Australia. On Friday, Fijiana Dra beat the Western Force 25 points to 14 in Suva. In Sydney, New South Wales Waratahs face off against the ACT Brumbies at the Allianz Stadium, winning 47-27. So the grand final will be on Sunday, 28th, at Ballymore Field. New South Wales Waratahs up against Fijiana Dra. To finish up here in England, Bristol and Saracens will battle out in the PWR Cup, having won their respective semi-finals over Gloucester Hartpury and Exeter. Shaftesbury Park in Bristol will host the final on Sunday 28th at 2 p.m. Short and sharp from me this week. Until next time, this is Rory Tellison signing off.
Thank you, Rory. The only other bit of news is the Black Ferns have announced their contracts. Do you want to bring this up with you, Berner? Just give some detail first. 5 new players. It's a young squad. But yeah, five new players that have been performing well in Super Rugby Al Picky, Atlanta, Lola here, and Maria Joseph from Matatu. Joseph is the daughter of former All Black and Japan coach, of course, Jamie. From the Hurricanes, Hannah King. She's a fly half. Ma'a Vaipulu from the Blues. Also from the Blues, Kelly Awa, the scrum half that inspired that Blues win in the Super Rugby Al Picky a few weeks back. Some really familiar names in there as well. Bernie, you'll know these. Georgia Ponsonby, Amy Rule, the Bremner sisters, Maya Roos, Rory Demont, Rini Holmes, Alicia, Letia Tinga, and Ruby Tui. This new look group with their first game in the Pacific 4 against USA in Hamilton on May the 11th. The reason I wanted to bring it up with you is they are quite clearly your closest rivals as a Red Rose. Do you guys keep an eye on them? Like their socials, what they're up to, the results, the games, when news like this and the contracts comes out?
To be honest, I don't really. I think a lot of the girls do. I think it's quite, and not because I don't think it's good. I think it's great. Like I always, when contracts get released for any nation, I always am like happy for them. Want to know how many people they have and kind of that bigger picture for women's rugby. I think it's really exciting. But not really for me, not down to the nitty gritty. I like to just really work in chunks. So I like to look at, well, who am I focusing on this tournament and look into there. And then I'll be like, okay, now it's the next tournament who's coming up. I like to look at it like that. I think if you're always looking at, oh, this is your closest rival, or you get too kind of absorbed into what everyone else is doing, it can really throw you off what you're doing, or maybe you can either get complacent that you think what you're doing is better, or you can probably get a little bit intimidated and think, oh, I'm not doing enough, or blah, blah, blah. So that's why I don't. But I know a lot of the girls do really get into it. And but I think it's just, when I hear anyone's getting contracts, I think it's brilliant. And I think New Zealand have actually got a lot of contracted players, which is also great for them because they have strength and depth in their squad. And I feel like they had, I think one of the England girls told me they have about 5 tight heads and like 7 loose heads or something like that contracted, which is great because props are, we are rare, and you want to kind of get everyone working on that same page. You lose a prop, that can be a massive hole in the team. If they get an injury, like you lose 2 props, or you pick up 2 injuries, well, that's 2 of your 5 in the tournament gone. So it's great to have so many contracted, so they can all keep challenging each other, and they have loads of options to pick from.
Come on, who's the ones going, oh yeah, she's in, yeah, I'm going to smash her next time we see her. Come on, who is it in the Red Roses who's like, right, we're having them next time?
I don't know. I don't think any of the Red Roses are actually like that. I think they're more just genuinely like, oh, have you seen New Zealand are doing this or something? I don't know.
Who's the one who does? You sat there late at night on the computer analysing their opposite number. Who's that last person?
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Poppy. Poppy Glill. She loves the statistics. She loves watching games. I don't know, maybe some of the backs. But to be honest, I don't know because I'm not there.
Yeah, no, but you've been around there for ages, so it's just a general question.
I really like Amy Rule. She's lovely. When we played them out in New Zealand, me and her swapped shirts, and I think she's a great player as well. So really happy to see her still in the team, and hopefully when we play them in the autumn or WXV, we'll get to battle it out against each other again.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, there's one more place, and there's a couple of players knocking around, just covering stuff off. One final time this year, let's preview the Six Nations Super Saturday. All starts at the Principality, 12:15. Wales against Italy. Then at 2:30, the Kingspan in Belfast. Ireland to take on Scotland. And the Stade Chabin Delmas. England are travelling to meet France at 4:45. Those are all UK time, excuse me. Let's look at it chronologically then. Wales. Okay. I'm going to ask you to put yourself in a red shirt. Look, she's in a red shirt already. Great. Put yourself in one of those close players that you got at Bristol, Alicia Butchers. The Six Nations they've had. How daunting is playing in the Principality in the final round for a wooden spoon?
I think there's two ways to look at this. You can either, and it really depends on what kind of environment they're in at the minute. If it was me, but I'm not in this environment. If it was me right now, who is very much removed, I'd be like, right, this is the last game. It means that we hopefully we'll finish without the wooden spoon, and we'll have a good chance of getting into the World Cup. So I would be going, let's rip into this last game and see how, believe in myself, dust myself down and say, right, let's go for this. Let's really go for it. Like it's last chance. Let's really pull together and tell everyone how brilliant everyone is, get everyone really confident within themselves. And then hopefully that's the performance that you could put out on the pitch. However, it's easy for me to say that because I've not been in a camp for the last 2 months, getting really tired of, camp life can be quite intense. You train for ages and you don't cook for yourself. You don't do your washing, which sounds really nice, but it's actually, you have no independence at all. You have zero independence. You get told where to be, you get told what to wear. And it's in small chunks, brilliant. Like it's great to be in camp because you spend a lot of time training with the people, so you get used to how people train. However, also you kind of can get some cabin fever. You want to get out of there. You want to do your own washing. You want to cook your own food. So it's that last bit of the tournament now where people are excited to get out and go home, have a bit of a rest, go on holiday, whatever, see their loved ones. So with that in mind, I would be like, let's go. I'm gonna, have a rest next week. Let's go rip into it before we get back into the Premiership, and see how well we can do. But I think also if they're in a bit of a place where it's getting a bit too much, it's really hard to do that, especially after their last 2 games. I can imagine that their confidence has been pretty short, and their confidence in the game plan they're playing and the structures can be quite hard to pull yourself back from that. So I see it going 2 ways, but I think knowing the Welsh girls, they will want to go out and give it everything for the last game, and hopefully, avoid that wooden spoon.
And what's top of the list to get right? Okay, so aside of the mental and that kind of stuff, what's top of the list? We've spoken about the stats and whatever against France. Where do they need to get right to get the W over Italy?
I think they need to get into the right places. I think they rely really heavily on their forwards to kind of pick around the corner, which is fine if you're in someone's 22 because you're beating them for speed. France do that really, really well. Get around the corner, beat the other team for speed, get on the front foot. If you're doing that all the way up the pitch, it's extremely fatiguing. And actually, looking at the stats, there's some that we pulled out, but the rest of it is pretty equal against France. Like it really shouldn't have been, if you were just looking at the stats, it shouldn't have been that big a score gap. So I think if Wales can come out with a mindset that we're going to do this together, with that different mentality, the last game, let's give it everything. And if they can get that connection between the forwards and backs working a little bit smoother, so they're actually asking questions of their opposition, it's not just going to be brute force over the top and then let's kick and see if we can get into the right spaces. They can't just rely on kicking to get into those good spots, because actually if it doesn't quite pay off, Italy, they love to play in disruption. That's how they play. Dink
is playing well in that back three as well for Italy. Big defenders.
Incredible. yeah, in that situation, that's what she wants. She doesn't want a nice flat line to play against. She wants one or two defenders so she can step, get through. The same with most of the Italians, to be honest. They love that kind of They love that kind of scramble structure. So, yeah, I do think though Italy will also be in a similar place. They won't want to, won't want the wooden spoon. They will want to. They are aggressive. They will slow down the ball. It's interesting because both teams have a tactic of attacking the breakdown. So Italy have done it really well this tournament. They get in the breakdown, they slow it down. They did it really well against Italy, against every single team they've played against in that first half. They've really slowed that ball down. But Wales also, if you were to look at their team, you say, what's the super strength? You say, oh, turnovers, they're jackalers, they're back rowers, they're the super strengths. However, if you've got both teams doing that, it's going to be difficult because who's going to keep hold of the ball? Who's going to get that structure to actually attack and play and get into the right spots? So I think it will be. I actually do think it will be a close one, and I think both teams will really not want to end fifth.
Yeah, for me, I just want Wales to make the opposition guess a bit more. It's just too predictable. Flaky George has got a massive boot, and it's engineering her into positions for her to use that. And there were points when you can see the kind of stuff that the Wales are trying to do. But as you say, one-out runners sort of on the edge of your 22, between the 22 and the 10-metre line, it's not doing anyone any favours. And I just think a bit of ingenuity around their play, and they've got plenty of good ball carriers. Alex Callender for me has been really impressive. I mean, geez, how many sevens have been impressing in this tournament? Aoife Wafer, we were talking about, was a different beast, wasn't she? It took him against England on the back foot. But yeah, Callender, and bring your runners in. How many times we see Kaylee Power with a bit of space, a Jazz Joyce or Courtney Key, or
I actually would like to see Kaylee at 12, because I think, yes, Flaky, it does have a great boot, and she is a very good 10. But particularly in the Premiership, she really, really does well for Gloucester Heartbreak. I think if you put Kaylee in that centre role, it gives them two options. They have a brilliant playmaker, Kaylee Powell, who can do chips, run it. She's very, very strong. She can run through it. And she can distribute very well, which will keep the backs guessing slightly, and she's good at putting other people into space. But then they also have Flaky, who can, again, use that boot, use that kick, and again, isn't really afraid to carry. I think it would just be a good option to try to see, to let them have a little bit more of a punchier plays when the ball gets out to that back line.
Yeah, agreed. Come on, let's have a prediction.
Oh, I think it will be very, very close. I think Italy may have it.
How will you show your face at Shaftesbury Park again?
I know they'll hate me.
Properly, but you got to be honest, right? I don't disagree. I think it's not enough time to sort of change things for Wales, and I think, in a bit of a rut, sadly. And we definitely don't want to see that. But I think some changes. You're talking about that Celtic Challenge that needs to be expanded. Let's have a cup competition. I don't think it's a responsibility of the PWR to prop up these teams. They kind of are with Wales and a lot of Scottish players in the PWR as well. Handful of Irish players as well, USA players. Cup competition. PWR teams, those Celtic Challenge, and just small steps and just gradually build and build and build and build and build. There is talk of a European competition and all the rest of it. But domestic rugby, the Red Roses are where they are, and it's not by fault. It's by design. It's putting proper structures in, whether it's the PWR, it's the pathway, the funnel to the Red Roses for the 18s and 20s and all the rest of it. It is all there to be seen. There's the blueprint, other nations. Yeah, the hard work's been done for you. Just copy and paste. Rant over. So you're going Italy. I'm going to go Italy as well. Let's go to Belfast, the King's Pan. Ireland, Scotland. I mean, yeah, of course, all the eyes are going to be drawn to France, England, but this is a fascinating game. Two teams with, their tails up, should we say?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really exciting game. Scotland, they want to get into, they want to get that third place, but also Ireland, it would be game changing for Ireland considering where they've been in the recent years as well, to have a place in the World Cup and be in WXV1, considering they were in WXV3. That is just incredible. And it's a brilliant that these two teams, it's going to be a battle. It is going to be a big battle. And it's exciting. It's exciting that actually we've got these two games at the end of the tournament, and it's not just England and France everyone's looking at for that Grand Slam win, but also actually this game is going to be huge because there's a lot to play for in this game for both of these teams. I think the way that Scotland have been playing, they have that kind of confidence around them at the minute, and they've come off a win against last weekend. Where Ireland, I think, to play at Twickenham and to have that kind of scoreline, I think that can be quite knock your confidence quite a bit in front of 40,000 people. And I think they look slightly tired in that second half, when rightly so. Like, England are incredibly difficult to stop. So I think it'll be so interesting to see how Ireland bounce back from that. I do think you've got the likes of Wafer and Clean and Maloney. I did think the game changed when she was on, because although Niamh Jones is a brilliant player, Clean had just got the ball straight away, boom, carried, got them on the front foot, and then they got that penalty try. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a big battle, but I think Scotland might just nip it this one.
Or that result for Ireland, because it was obvious within about 45 seconds that it might just be one of those days for the Red Roses and the rub of the green and all the rest of it. Is it not because it's such a big scoreline? You can just totally kind of dismiss it. England, different level. Do you know, actually what we did was actually, and they were in parts pretty good. Is it not easier to park? I mean, I'm asking you. I doubt you've ever been on the end of a 78-point difference loss.
I definitely have been.
Have you?
Yeah.
Not international level, surely.
Yeah. When we first went, my first cap actually. Well, it wasn't my first cap, but it was my first tour. England played Canada in Utah, and we literally landed like 3 days before, and then we were playing Canada. And it was honestly like chasing shadows. The girls, it was a massive scoreline against England, and it was. I was not picked because I again had never really played prop yet. So, but I remember me and Zoe Orkoff sat there like, oh, we've not been a part of that. But that was 2016, so that was a while ago now.
It's almost just sort of fanciful, isn't it? But is that easy? Is it easy for Scott Beams to go, do you know what? That was great. We're just going to pick out our bits from today, and now it's Scotland, and we can just part that really easily.
Yeah, I guess, definitely. In a way, that could definitely happen. I think more from a physical perspective.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's gonna be like, you're gonna feel battered. That playing games against France and Canada, who are extremely, they go, they're physical. They're the games that you feel exhausted after. It's funny to think that obviously each game of rugby is difficult, but the ones where they're constantly going and going and going, they're the ones that you really feel the next day. So there might just be a little bit of body fatigue within them. Not saying that Scotland won't have that, but I think having been in the non-playing side against England, even in training, you feel like that the next day. They are a hard team to stop, and it is hard work. So, however, I do think Ireland play a kicking game. So getting into how they actually play, they play a kicking game. They play a territory-based game. When Scotland played Wales, Scotland did really well at their counter-attack, and that's actually how they kind of beat Wales. They got into some good positions and they had some exciting attacking shape. which is why I think Scotland may be the ones to win this game this weekend, because if they, now Chloe Rowley's got her card, unfortunately, if they put Meryl Smith back into that 15 role, you have a counter kick option, you have a running option, you have someone who is very good at putting the likes of Rona Lloyd, the other wingers into good spots. I just think that their backs are really firing this year, but the Scots have always had a great pack. They've always had a really strong pack. So if they all come out ready to go, I do think this could be an exciting game for Scotland in terms of how they're playing. And I think for Ireland, they've come on really far, but I just think Scotland are on that winning streak at the minute. They've got that momentum. They're excited, and I think they'll relish the opportunity to get their spot in the World Cup. They'll be excited about that, and then excited to play in WXV1. And I think they've really earned it, to be honest. I think they've been playing some really nice rugby.
Just a couple of bits I wanted to pick up with you on that was Sam Monaghan will be back, recovering for perhaps we knew that Ireland might not win at Twickenham, and therefore you save your captain. And I'm purely speculating, and they wouldn't be the first team or coach whatever to do it, but I suspect that may well have been she may well have been okay to play if it was a World Cup final, let's say. But yeah, she'll be back. That'll be a big old boost. And as you say, yeah, Meryl Smith will come in at fullback as she started the tournament, didn't she? The first couple of games. Lisa Thompson in the centre, Helen Nelson. So there's plenty of kicking options. And as you say, if Ireland, through Dara O'Brien, who I have to say has been incredibly impressive, we're going to do the team of the tournament. I know you're whizzing off and grabbing a pina colada next week, so I won't have your company. But Sarah Orchard, BBC commentator, and Ali Donnelly, the Scotland Queen's Queen, will be doing our team of the tournament with us. You know, O'Brien was marked on my sheet sort of after week 2, but she kicks loosely to Meryl Smith, to Fran McGee, Corinne Grant, Rona Lloyd, and then you've got Emma Orr just sweeping in behind. I think it tactically it's tipping the way of Scotland for me. Really strong bench now, isn't it, for Scotland as well? And the other thing, and I always go on about it, is the mental side. I think Scotland wants it more, and that is not to say in any way, shape, or form that Ireland don't want it. But Scotland have come this far now, and Ireland are off the back of that result at Twickenham. And if they win here, they get third and they're through to a World Cup. You achieve what you set out to achieve before the Six Nations. That's mentally a huge driver.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And just when you said about the bench, yeah, Eliane Clark, although a young scrummager, you give her an offload from, I don't know, let's say Emma Orr makes a line break, you offload to your replacement tight head. She's got the ability to score 40 metres out. She's an incredibly good carrier. She's always there hunting for the ball off of an offload against. She's done really well for Bristol as well this year too. So they have that bench. They've got threats all over it. And I think that's probably where Ireland are still growing. They're growing that strength and depth in their squad. I mean, they've now got the luxury of Niamh Jones and Cliona Maloney, which is great because they're both fantastic players for Ireland. Sam's back as well. So I do think that they'll be up for it. But like you said, Scotland's just their strength and depth, and they do just want it. Like you can see with how they're playing, they are not letting little things bring them down. Even against England, they never looked like they were crumbling under the pressure. They were trying to, when England were going to the maul, they were then, someone's gone down, taken an injury, which I think is a really smart tactic. You don't want to do it all the time, but if you have played a long style of rugby and you just need a little rest to recuperate against a really dominant side, it's a smart thing to do. And I think that's it. They feel like they have the control and they're making good decisions and they've got good leadership. They've got good coaching staff. That's why I think they'll do it. They're in a really positive spot at the minute, and it's so nice to see. It's really nice to see.
Yep. that positivity around what they're doing, and they were absolutely bloody gutted that loss to England, and then just didn't fire a shot, and it's more about the way that they just didn't perform. And so we're both going both blue for the opening two games. We're both going Italy, both going Scotland. Are we going third blue? Yeah, and what you and I both predict, the third blue, France going to beat England. Yeah. Let's get into the game of Bordeaux. Conscious of your time, Berner, you've the rehab is ramping back up. In terms of selection, I think you see a change in the back line to the starting back line.
No.
Two games.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to you about the bench. In the pack, again, that's reasonably settled. Who plays alongside Zoe Allcroft in the second row with no Rosie Gallagher? Abby Ward comes straight back in.
Abby Ward. They again, England. What great job they have. Like, they've got Abby Ward, they've got Moana Talling, they've got Sarah Beckett, they've got Catherine Donald. Like, all of those players, you pick any of them, you think, yeah, fair play, they're going. I wouldn't be surprised, just with how well England played on the weekend, if they kept it relatively similar. So I wouldn't be surprised if Moana was in there still, Moana even, or Abby. But I also think that they will potentially want to keep a caller on the bench just in case anything happens to Zoe. That back five, none of them are line-out specialists where Abby and Zoe are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe start Moz and then Abby's on that bench to cover that calling option. I think, though, if they were going to go with experience and the team that won away last time we were away in France, Abby might be in that role, but I think it's going to be a toss-up between the two, depending on what John Mitchell wants. Yeah,
and just to clarify for those not quite across rugby union as others maybe, calling the line out to the person who calls where the ball is going to go. It's a big old part of the game now. Zoe Allcroft does it, doesn't she? Does it very well. Abby Warren, we know, does it. It's pretty unlucky if you're going to get both of those down injured in the first within the game, but. Absolutely, touch wood. But and then the bench, and because Emika Kane's back, Sarah Beckett's back.
Yeah, well, I don't think Lark will be available due to her injury at the weekend. So
didn't look great, did you? So there's your two hookers. You start Emika Kane out in France, don't you, and have Connie off the bench?
Well, France have a 100% scrum at the minute, and England have a 90-something, I think. That's the statistic.
It's 90s, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just based off of, again, experience, and Amy, again, is a phenomenal player. Yeah, you'll be looking at Hannah Bottoman, Amy Kane, and more to start in that front row. The scrum will definitely be a piece that England will be looking at, because historically France have always had a very good scrum, particularly when they're at home. I don't know what it is, but when they're at home, it must be that crowd of 20,000 booing French fans that just kind of, they G them up. They have a very dominant scrum when they play at home. So that, I think, will be not a threat to England, but something that they definitely will be highlighting this week of how to deal with that.
Yeah, you've been on the back end of that French scrum a few times. Do England just go out and play the way we know that they can against Ireland? They won't have that kind of space and what have you. But England aren't going to go away from what they're trying to do and beginning to achieve a lot more.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think if England really look at how they played last week, I think if they can start the game out the blocks like that, I think it will really blow France away. However, for France, when we play them away, have a very good statistic of coming out the blocks, absolutely firing. So the last time we played there, we had a scrum penalty against. they did literally a pick and go, and Menage was under the post within the first 3 minutes or something crazy. But England, one of their super strengths, which I think kind of does get overlooked by how they play, is their ability not to panic under if someone scores the first try, or if they're slightly behind. England historically have been very good at being like, that's okay, we can get control back, we can win this game, and then coming back and winning. They've done that for a long time. And I think just looking at the scores that England have put on other nations this tournament, and that the scores that France have, and looking at the line-out functioning and stuff like that, France's line-up didn't do fabulous at the weekend. It's still a strength of theirs, but I think England will be looking to target that and getting the ball back. So it's going to be an interesting set-piece battle, because I think France will target England's scrum. I think England will target France's line-out. So it's going to be, I think, a big battle up in that forward zone.
Yeah, it was 3 minutes from Menage went over a couple of years ago when you played over in France. Don't need to remind you that then a certain Sarah Bern then scored 6 minutes later, and then added to that by scoring another try in that first half to put away. But no, look, England don't panic. Red card in a World Cup final, there was not 1 ounce of panic. Okay, there was some personnel involved, but yeah, England do not panic. So if England are not going to go away from the way that they're playing, and you detailed a bit of scrum and line-out stuff, they won't be allowed to play that way, though, will they, by France?
Yeah, France, again, have an extremely good defence. When we played them in when we played them in the pool stages of the World Cup, that was a really tight game, and they were battering us. I remember carrying the ball and being on the end of like 3 of Medusa Fall's tackles and thinking, geez, man, I've never felt so light in my life. So I think if France come out with that same mindset, and it's a really good clash. France absolutely despise England, and England, again, from my perspective, just want to play well and really win and give it a go. But it's always a really great battle. So yeah, it's interesting if they can get their defence right, and they've been playing very well, especially in that midfield. I think they'll put a lot of pressure on Holly and our centres, because they're smart. And if they've watched the Ireland game, they would see that the centres is what is unlocking everything else. So I think that they'll probably put a real rush defence, and Holly plays very flat to the line with our forwards, and that's a great game plan. I think they're going to blitz it and put loads of pressure on that pass, which will force some errors. So I think for this game, I know England won't, but they could probably do with, if it starts to go a little bit ropey, just taking a little step back or passing that ball a little bit earlier, just so that it's not as pressured. But I have every faith that England will not do that, and they will play to the line, and they'll play exactly how they've been playing, because they want to show that it works and that it does work. But it'll be interesting to see how France defend that. Yeah,
because almost reinforcements were called. The pack is very settled for France. Dessay, Socha, Calafui, Falau, Escudo, Menage, Gros, these kind of players. Medusa Fall, as you say, will come in. They did call for some reinforcements at the weekend. Jacquet came from the sevens. And Ciofani and Cecile Ciofani and Joanne Grise, who picked up a couple of tries, didn't she? But Boulard and Vernier, Kiwa and Boudon Sansus have been ever present throughout the tournament. Vernier is going to be huge, as you say, stopping Holly Aitchison and Tatiana Hurd. I don't think Holly Aitchison's got enough credit this Six Nations. I think she's been exceptional. Her footballing skills are top rate. So yeah, England are going to be under huge pressure. Just before I get a prediction, what's it like? Is you touched on it momentarily, but what is it like? And possibly that little bit. Just you've done your training and you've got the whistles and the boos and the bands going, and there might be a stray chicken on the field and all the rest of it. But that bit when you come in just before you come out for the anthems, just take us. people may well be different, but you're just absolutely buzzing. Like, come on, let's go and give it to this French crowd. Come on.
So the last time we played them away in France, when we were walking out to the warm up, this whole stadium it's full of French flags. So they give French flags out. Well, they used to. I don't know if they will. They normally give out French flags. So the whole stadium's going with French flags, and you see maybe 2 tiny little English flags popping up somewhere, which is normally about, I don't know, the 10 parents that have turned up for the game, or friends and family. And they just boo you. They just boo you. You haven't even done anything. You've just walked out to do your warm-up, booing. You all walk back in, booing. And I remember Marley turning around and some of the other players going, come on then. So that element, I guess you can look at it too. It's I myself go, I love it. I think, yeah, come on. Like if you're booing me, it kind of makes me go, all right, like I'll give you something to actually boo about. Where I think some players, it is intimidating. Like a lot of the girls within our squad now haven't played in that fixture. And I remember my first time, I was really nervous. And particularly with the scrums, France have always been really good at the scrums. And until that fixture, when we played France away the last time, I was terrible. I was coming back from a back injury and I was literally getting sent to space every scrum. So for me, I was nervous. But we'd done so much work on the scrums. The scrums were fine. The first few scrums were absolutely fine. And I remember turning to Vicky Cornborough at the time and going, oh, wow, this feels really good. And she was like, yeah, it does feel really good. And then we were like, all right, let's go and get them. Which was so nice to have that little, because she knows as well how difficult the scrums are against France. So when we were like, yeah, they feel great. And I remember Abby Ward was like, well, of course they feel great. They're like, you work so hard. And me and Vic were like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Yeah, and then we played really well. And it's a great environment because there's that passion, there's that rivalry, and I love it. But I think it can definitely intimidate some people who haven't been in that environment before.
Last time we played in the Six Nations, it was 33-0 at half-time to England. So you talk about that quick start. It ended up 38-33. I don't need to remind you. So France won the second half 33 points to 5. Who gets the quicker start and who eventually ends up winning?
I wouldn't be surprised if France get a good start or get potentially, maybe not a good start, but I wouldn't be surprised if France potentially get a first try or something like that, or a quick try at the start, because they are switched on, they're ready, they'll be pumped, they'll be excited to play. I think England will run away with it. I do think the second half will be tighter, just because they'll come out in the second half if England are winning in that first half, and they'll be really up for it. But again, I do think England will win that half. I think England are just playing really well at the minute. And if all else fails, they can just kick to the corner and use their driving more and use their forward carries like they did against Italy in that first half. I think England will do quite a good job this week. But I think France will be there to ruin it, to be ruining England's party. I think they'll be there to say, we're going to end this reign that England have over us of however many games winning in a row. And I do think France will be like, right, now's the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think England will win, and I think England will win with a bit of a cushion. I think that French backline is chopped and changed, and it's not as connected as the England backline. And I suspect we'll see that England backline the same in terms of personnel for a third game in a row, which is only a useful thing, isn't it? And we know that England can get ball, whether it's from opposition or off their own. So yeah, I'm expecting a England win by 12 or more.
I think it'll be high scoring.
Yeah.
But I think I said like 24 to France, 35 to England or something like that. I don't know. I think it'll be high scoring, but I do think England will probably get ahead by 2 tries. Or
here we go. To record yet another Grand Slam and Six Nations Champions. Who knows? We'll be there watching. Bernie, you're going to grab your sun lounger and your sun lotion. Are you you're off somewhere nice? Let's not ask because I probably shouldn't tell people you're on holiday. Know where you live and all the rest of it.
Don't worry, I think other people will be in my house. So hopefully, no one will. But yeah,
it's not a household you want to bundle into. I can assure you on a dark night.
But yeah, no, we'll. I'm going away for a bit, which will be really nice because I haven't had a chance to have a rest. All the Bristol girls got that 2-week rest at the start of Six Nations, but I was rehabbing, and then I was meant to continue my rehab this week when all the England girls got their rest, but I said, come on. I was like, please, can I just have a few days? Like, and then I'll come back. And then I just get to rip into the rest of my rehab, which is, like I said, really ramping up, getting back into running, and back involved in training. So, it'll be another good 3 months to get ready for pre-season.
Awesome. We must just give a doff the cap to Rona Lloyd, Scotland, and GB7's player, won her 50th cap at the weekend, as did Italian fly half Veronica Medea and Lock Isabella Locatelli. A really nice moment as they all ran out together in Parma. That was a very nice moment. What rugby's kind of all about. And yeah, we mentioned it already, but Ali Donnelly from Scrum Queens and Sarah Orchard from the BBC will be doing a team of the Six Nations, team of the tournament, as we do most years. So the last 3 or 4 years we've done that. So yeah, that's normally a hotly debated 23 that we do. And we're recording on Monday night. So that'll be our early part of next week. Have a lovely time, Berner. Enjoy the rugby. Good luck to Bristol and to Saracens in the PWR Cup final at the weekend as well. Enjoy your strawberry daiquiri. We'll see you soon.
See you later, guys.